Representative Young, welcome back to Olympia. I'm sure you're excited to get started for the 2015 session. Can you tell us a little bit about the committees that you'll be serving on this year?
Yeah, well, I'm actually very excited about these committees. So I'm staying on transportation, which is a carryover, certainly a very important issue for the district. And I believe I'm the only one in the district that's going to be representing us from that standpoint. And so it's an opportunity to really serve. There's a lot of issues there. And I think that my skill set, especially with my professional background, will lend itself well on that committee. And there's a lot of things I want to work on there. So I'm very glad to keep that. What I'm most excited about, however, is as a technology professional, I really wanted to be able to lend my experience where it would be most effectual. So in this case, I was given an opportunity to serve on a Technology and Economic Development Committee. And I think that's just a perfect fit for my skill set. You know, there's not a lot of technology experience in Olympia that has a kind of a global perspective to it. There's a couple of reps that have maybe served and done maybe something for Microsoft or something else, but to really have a broad-based, you know, having traveled across the country or even globally on technology matters, I think that's a good place to lend my experience, and I'm really happy to serve there. And then the final committee I got, which I'm excited about, is the Rules Committee.
Rules Committee sounds like a senior committee for somebody who's just in their second year. Can you tell us a little bit about your role on the Rules Committee?
Well, yeah, so it is. It's an opportunity. So far, the people I've talked to a lot of people don't really know. They think it has to do with rules, and I'm sure that there was a genesis there at some point, but really rules is one of those kind of back office committees that has a lot of impact, but you don't really hear a lot about it. Oftentimes that's where bills go to die, but really nothing goes to the floor of the House unless it goes through rules. So a bill can have good merit, it can be heard in committee, it can be heard from a fiscal standpoint, it can be heard from a policy standpoint, but once it comes up out of that committee, it has to come to rules first, and then the rules committees can, as a whole, will consider these bills and they'll vote them and literally pull the bill to the floor. And unless that happens, you can't really see any action taken on it from a broader perspective and have this legislation passed into law. And so it's a great opportunity to have a lot of influence from a broader perspective, and I'm really happy to be on that committee.
What are your legislative priorities for 2015?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of work to do, that's for sure. So one of the biggest priorities that's hitting right now, and it's really a necessity of timing, is the Narrows Bridge. A lot of people are unaware really of the convoluted bond structure and the payment schedule that we have for that. And in my opinion, while there has been a lot of talking about it, there's kind of really been this mentality to almost kick the can down the road because you have different committees that are involved. You know, you have an executive agency, you have a Citizens Advisory Board, and a lot of people are looking at this issue, but no one really owns the entire thing. And as a result, what we've had is kind of this problem just kind of pushed out, and we're really running up into a window now where you're going to see a lot of this, all the push-outs begin to stop, and we're all going to have to kind of pay the piper at once, and that's going to mean a really drastic raise in the tolls unless something's done about that. So I'm going to take that mantle on. I don't want the citizens of our district to be looking at tolls that are greater than now. I think that this should not only be the high water mark, we should try to retreat from that, and it's going to take a lot of creative solutions to try to drop these tolls, let alone let them rise up by $1 or $2, which is really what you know, some articles have been written recently about this. Even after the election, the entire month of December, I was meeting with members of the Citizens Advisory Board, meeting with the Department of Transportation to really look into the bond payment structure, looking at these schedules, looking at the potential ideas they have for increasing the tolls. And most people are unaware that we're on the hook over the next 3 years. The bond payments on this are going to rise by over $20 million a year. And normally, when you've seen the rates go up by, say, a quarter a year, that's because the bond rate has gone up by maybe $2 million that year. To see it jump in such a short period of time by $20 million, and then on top of that, you're going to see the deferred sales tax that had been deferred by previous legislators. That's finally coming due. And if we don't do something like that, you're going to see almost a $25 million to $30 million increase in the bond repayments that we have to do. And the Citizens Advisory Board is already looking and talking at least, you know, close to $1.50 increase this year potentially, and then adding more on top of that. And that's untenable. And I won't accept, you know, the people of our district having to pay upward of $7, $8 to get across the toll. That's just not economically feasible. So that, by necessity, is going to be one of my key priorities to address this year. From a solution standpoint, I can tell you, we'll talk more about this maybe in a couple weeks when I roll this out. I have about 6 to 7 pieces of legislation that I'm currently working on. There's a lot of details there. It's very complex, but we're going to roll out a big plan, and all of them are centered around fixing the Narrows Bridge. Because I wasn't elected to stand still and smile and go shake hands. I want to also fix these problems.
So it sounds like as a returning member that there's some work from last year that you might want to continue this year. Are there any things that you want to highlight that you'll be continuing from 2014 and 2015?
Yeah, absolutely. So the bridge, we're going to be taking on, and that's going to take a lot of attention in the near future, but I'm still working right now on bringing technology jobs to this district. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that people have jobs and that they have good family wage, blue collar and white collar type of jobs. And most important to me is that our kids have opportunities for these jobs. And our district, I am continuing to stress, is in a prime position to attract jobs of the 21st century. And from a technology perspective, I spend a lot of time when I'm not here in the capital consulting down in California and understanding that labor market and understanding where those jobs are, how they're structured, and really what is happening from an economic standpoint where a lot of these jobs are being sent overseas. I don't want to see those jobs go over there anymore. I want those jobs to come here. We need to put up a big flashing sign that says, we're open for business. We have the infrastructure. We have the fiber optic cable in the ground. It's already built. We don't need some tax package to build it so that they will come, to make a reference to Field of Dreams. It's already here. But they're not coming because we don't have the right type of policy in place to make sure that people know that if they're going to have a mass exodus of jobs that are high-paying, 6-figure jobs from California and shipping them over to India, if they don't know that they could bring those jobs here and compete and potentially save money by doing it while employing local people from our district, then we're missing out on a huge opportunity. And so I'm working on legislation. Now, last year when I submitted this, it didn't go anywhere. I think a number of reasons behind that were political, but I'm working right now with the chair of the Finance Committee, who's a Democrat from Seattle, and the notion is, let's see if we can find some nonpartisan reasons to really try to attract these types of jobs, because at the end of the day, Republicans and Democrats can agree that taking jobs from India and bringing them here is a good thing for our kids. And so you'll see more about that, but that is another issue that I'm really pushing and something I certainly want to carry forward, because I want to make sure our kids have jobs.